Hi, my name's Eric Simpson. Most people just call me Bart, and today I'm going to be doing a video about the Mechammer 2. First part of the video is going to be about the Mechammer 2. Second part is going to be about the tooling available for the Mechammer 2. And then the third part, I'm going to actually make an airplane part, because that's what's important at all this is actually what you end up with there at the end. To start off with the Mechammer 2, my Mechammer 2, I've had it for about 3 years. I use it almost every day. I'm not getting any sort of compensation for doing this video or anything like that. I paid full price for it just like anybody else. The Mechammer was designed and it's manufactured and distributed in Europe by a fellow in the Netherlands named Ben. And the people at Trick-Tool in Pella, Iowa, manufacture it and distribute it here in the United States. So if you're interested in it, get in contact with the people out at Trick-Tool. So real briefly, the Mechammer is different than any planish hammer I've ever owned. I think this is my third planish hammer that I've owned. It's different. It has a lot of unique features, and it does things that other planish hammers just won't do. To start off with, it has a 110-volt motor up here at the top. It has a clutch right in here. It's belt-driven, and then it comes down to here, and it has a real small crankshaft and a real small connecting rod, somewhat similar to a real small internal combustion engine. And it drives a piston up and down in this cylinder. And one of the best things about the Mechammer is you can control how hard it hits, and sometimes, even more importantly, how light it hits. Other planish hammers and power hammers, don't be confused with how fast they hit. There's very little control in between. It's like the planish hammers especially are on full throttle all the time. With the Mechammer, you have these 4 different pistons of 4 different weights, and that controls how hard it hits. There's no connection between the connecting rod and the piston itself. It works on an air pulse system. It does hit different than any planish hammer, power hammer, anything like that I've ever used. It doesn't take long to get used to. It's just different. The whole machine is almost entirely toolless. There's only one tool, and that's a Allen wrench or a hex wrench, and you use that to loosen a set screw back here. You loosen that in order to change the piston. Some of the other really super neat things about the Mechammer, they call it set it and forget it. What they're referring to is this spring tension or spring pressure right here. Once you get the machine, you set it up the way you like it. You don't have to tighten it for thinner metals. You don't have to loosen it for thicker metals or anything like that. You set it and forget it, and it's good. It's a good system. Lower die change, you loosen up the locking mechanism. You slide it out, it moves left or right, whichever you prefer. You take out your lower die, grab your next one. Let's say on this you're increasing the radius, set it in there, put it back under, lock it in place, and you're done. It's 3 to 5 seconds on lower die changes. Most planish hammers or power hammers, they come with 1 flat die, sometimes 2. The Mechammer has, with the tooling available, you can get up to 9 upper dies, radius, flat, different sizes. 2 of them are phenolic. The upper die, you simply pull it out. It's held in by an O-ring. It's simple, works good. Grab your next upper die, put that back up in place. Bring your vertical tool post back into position, lock it in place, and you're done. On some lower dies, most of them are a simple radial shaping die with a radius top. That's what you use the majority of the time. Sometimes you need a die in there that the die has to be fixed. Some manufacturers, they have you put the die in, the linear stretching die or whatever type of die that has to be held in place, and then wrap it with duct tape. It works, just not optimal. This is a super neat system. Inside here, it's cut out in an octagon shape, and it's matching on all your fixed dies. And as you can see, it's cut out in an octagon shape. So you take that, simply put it in there. It's locked in place. Put it under, lock your tool post, and you're all set to go. None of this silliness with duct tape. Another neat feature that the Mechammer has is it has a horizontal lower tool post. It has 1 lever here. Up, the arm is locked. You flip it down, it's loose. You can move it in and out. So you can move your vertical tool post out of the way, and now you can work in tubular type pieces. This arm right here, it has an Allen bolt here, and you can move it on in and out if you need to adjust it. I'll do a quick demo on changing the piston weights on it real quick for you. So you loosen up your tool post arm, move it out of the way, take your hex wrench or Allen wrench, and there again, it's the only thing on the machine, only handheld tool on the machine. Everything else is toolless. So you take that, you loosen up this set screw, you remove your upper die holder. As I said earlier, this works on an air pulse system, driving the piston down and then sucking it back up, so it has some vent holes in the back. Cover up the lower vent hole, activate your foot pedal, blow out your piston, shut off the machine. Throughout the machine, I've had it 3 years. I use it almost every day. The only repair or maintenance that I've had to do to the machine is to replace one O-ring on one piston. That's it. Take that, put it back up into the cylinder, get your upper die holder, put that back in there, snug it back up, put your lower tool post back into position and lock it, and boom, you're done. You've changed your piston weight. So if I wasn't talking for the video, we're looking at about 15 seconds on changing the piston weight, upper and lower tools changing, like 4 to 5 seconds a piece. The Mechammer has a real large variety of tooling. Okay, so now we'll go over the selection of tooling that's available for the Mechammer 2. It has really good tooling selection and far more reasonably priced than a lot of other Planish hammer tooling. Also, I regularly check the radiuses and things, and I've never had a die go flat or anything like that on it. You have your typical lower radius dies, 15 of them. Wide selection, really good stuff. You also have these square lower dies that are indexed that have different types of radiuses and things like that are good for getting in corners. Also, you can turn the edge on a radius panel with the Mechammer, whereas you normally might use a tipping die. It also has thumbnail shrinking dies, linear stretching dies for the lower, and beading dies and the tooling to hold that into place. Also has a selection of 9 upper dies, 2 of which have phenolic insert. Really nice, really good selection of tooling. Okay, today's project is going to be an air induction for an aviation aircraft cowling. What this kind of represents, this is the flat, we're going to make a small intake, like you would say, maybe like a hood scoop on a hot rod, street rod type car. We're going to use the Mechammer and we're going to stretch in a radial fashion. Here, it's going to bring this metal up. We're looking for a 4-inch radius coming up to this, going this direction, 2.5-inch radius. On the sides, we're looking at 0.6 of an inch for a flange. I'm going to outline some of this in a bead roller. You wouldn't normally do that, but on this particular piece, because they want a real tight radius, I'll show you that. What we're going to do, once again, this is a drawing on the actual metal. This represents a flange. This gets cut off, this gets cut off, this gets cut off if we don't need it, which we shouldn't. But and what we're going to do is we're going to stretch this in a radial fashion and bring this up. We're going to have a 4-inch radius here and a 2.5-inch radius going across. Next thing we'll do, we'll go over to the bead roller and we're going to outline this right here. And what that's going to do is whenever I start radial stretching in here, it's going to cause less of that to transfer past that line. Okay, so now we're going to do a bead roll around this. I'm using stencil dies. You can use step dies or even soft step dies. All right, so now we're going to start making our panel. The material I'm going to be using today is 5052 in H32. I know most of you car guys use 3003 and H14. The 5052 H32 is significantly stronger, but it's still an H series metal. Just so you know what I'm working with, and that's a little bit more difficult than 3003 H14. Take probably, I don't know, between a half an hour and an hour to get this majorly shaped up before I start cutting the ends off and doing the finishing works. Okay, so I'll just show you how fast the lower die change is in real life. Flip the handle down, push it off to the side, go back, grab your next die, put it back in, tighten it up, and that's it. That's a real life lower die change. Okay, I've gone up one on the weight in here. So now we're on the number 2 weight. Usually you start off light, increase your weight, and then whenever you get to finishing the part, you go down light again. And that's true with a lot of different power hammers, even. Okay, so now I'm in for, I'm guessing, about 35 to 45 minutes of actually running the planish hammer and constantly stopping to check my radiuses, make sure I'm coming into the crown, coming into the shape that I want. So at this point, I'm coming up close on my radiuses. If you remember, we're looking for 2.5 across here, and we're almost there on the sides. We need to come up a little bit more. The other radius that we're looking for is a 4-inch radius, and that's right in this area. And it still needs to come up quite not too much, quite a bit here, but not so much on the sides. So I've changed back to the lighter piston, and I've also put in the phenolic flat top. Okay, so here's the finished product. 2.5 across here, showing 2.5 across here, 2.5. Right there is your 4-inch. 6/10 right in this area, and 8/10. That's what they called it, 8/10 right here. So that's all good. So anyways, I hope this gave you a good idea on the mech hammer in general, and metal shaping in particular. So hope you liked it. If you liked it, put in the comments for Bruce at Trick Tool to send me a free shirt. If you didn't like it, please put in the comments for Bruce at Trick Tool to send me a free shirt. All right, have a good day. Thanks for watching.